Peace. My name is Alicia. I am the owner and provider of Healing Hands Childcare. One of the reasons why I emphasize taking good care of our youth, pouring into our youth with intention, is because it's so much easier to learn than to unlearn. I am 34 years old and I am still unlearning. I am still unprogramming and unconditioning my mind in order to step into who I've always been. We don't become anything, we become less of what we never were. If you were neglected, abused, traumatized by the people who were supposed to raise, keep you safe, and protect you, chances are they didn't take good care of themselves when you were a child, and now they are getting older and they still do not prioritize their health, their well being, their mental and physical and emotional development. It was your burden as a child, but it is no longer your burden as an adult. You are your own responsibility. You are under no obligation to the people who had sex and created you. There is an illusion that when two people have sex and make children, the child is somehow indebted to them. Life is not a debt, life is a gift. And the sooner we re narrate and redefine our own lives for ourselves, the more liberated we'll be, the sooner we'll be liberated. If we continue to live under a narrative that was never meant to serve us and keep us healthy and well, but to just keep us stuck and at the mercy and at the service of people who refuse to service themselves. Now, two lives are going down instead of just one. And I'm trying to be delicate with this matter because I know it's a touchy subject. Um, you cannot get well in the spaces that made you sick when you are around somebody who doesn't respect you, doesn't trust you, doesn't validate your experiences, isn't able to be held accountable. When you expose yourself to that kind of behavior, those kind of conditions, it does something to the entire body. Not only does the mind alter, but the digestive system, the heart, the liver, the kidneys, it rearranges you physically, emotionally, and mentally. Fight or flight is the opposite of rest and digest. If your system is in fight or flight, then you're literally not digesting your foods. And we all know that the stomach is really, truly the first brain and the immune system. And so a lot of our physical ailments, our immune deficiencies, our autoimmune diseases are about turning on ourselves, not taking good care of ourselves, not honoring and listening to literally our gut. And so I don't have to tell you this, but I think that a lot of people need validation. Your life, your birth is not a debt to anybody, especially somebody who refused to take care of themselves years ago and still actively refuse to take good care of themselves. Having a child does not make addicts suddenly get sober, which it does happen sometimes, but it's not typically likely. Having a child doesn't make people magically become decent human beings. It doesn't make them any more accountable. It doesn't make them develop communication skills. It doesn't make them know how to define love or have self respect, let alone respect for another. Having children doesn't magically make people develop self compassion or compassion for the people around them. We are giving people titles, and titles are earned through qualities. A lot of people are unqualified, but they still get to carry the title. This is, you ever work at a job and you have a terrible manager? They don't manage anything, they're condescending, they're rude, they aren't doing their job, and they don't take accountability for the whole team failing. They just kind of blame, berate, and explode at people. They have this name tag of manager, but they actually should have a different name tag that just says, I don't even know, a rock. I'm just a pet rock. I'm furniture in the employment establishment. So if you look up the etymology of words, the root, the meaning, it will clarify some things. A mother is a nurturer, a father is a protector. If they don't do these things and they get stripped of those labels, these are the qualities that it takes in order to fall in that category. If you're not doing the qualities, then you don't get the title, regardless of the physical realm's definition. Because again, this is the world of make believe, the world of deception and lies. And I was in the car and I was thinking, I can guide the children. I can help the children and encourage them and discipline them in ways that are conducive to connection and confidence building. And I thought about adults being like so different, and it's really not. You cannot develop self respect. You can't develop self trust. You can't develop self worth in places that are telling you that your birth is a debt, that you are, that everything, your breath, everything you owe to somebody else. Somebody else is worthy of it, and you are worthy of absolute nothing, let alone self respect, self compassion, rest, and self worth. How are you going to get it? The same people that stripped you of it aren't going to provide it to you. And while you sit around trying to build yourself up outside of those spaces, the moment you step back into those spaces, boop, 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 everything you built, everything you built, they intentionally see it as something to feed off of it. That's why they did it when you were a child. That's why they will continue to do it. Not only to you, they do it to themselves. They do it to their partners. They do it in their friendships. And if they don't, they wear a mask because they know it's inappropriate. People don't magically change because they become parents. They don't magically change when they become married. People magically change when they decide to. When there's a will, there is a way. If people are unwilling, then there is no way, regardless of what you sacrifice from your life and from yourself. We do not owe anybody anything. We owe it to our Creator. Parents are a portal for the physical body to be born. The spirit inside comes from something spiritual, something bigger, the part of everything, the same thing that makes the trees, the wind, the birds, the sun, the stars. It's bigger than your parents. Your purpose, your passions, your worth is tied to something outside of these people. They don't get to determine your value. They had their chance, they didn't determine their own value. And so that would be like you making anything. Say you made a meal that you absolutely love and you go to share it with somebody and they're like, "This is terrible. I hate it." But you really love this meal. You're very proud of it. It tastes delicious. You wouldn't care what they thought because you took the time and already defined this meal for yourself. This is one of my favorite meals. I love the way that I cook this. I don't care what they think or how they feel about it. That's the same thing when you develop your own character. You not only take pride into it, you take investment and time into it, and then you protect it. You narrate it, you define it for yourself, and you own that definition. You don't owe anybody anything, let alone your mental, physical stability. It literally is going to make you sick and kill you. One last thing. There is a study about families who have physical ailments. People who were adopted in the family didn't have the same blood. They were not, relatives. People who were adopted in the family ended up getting the same sicknesses because sickness and disease is a frequency. If you do not get away from those people, you're going to end up just like those people, bitter, worn out, stressed out, and you're going to be very unhappy living your life for somebody else.